Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Tea You and Me. This is Coach Powell. Every single week, for as long as COVID has been around, we have been online every Friday from 3 to 5, helping entrepreneurs, business leaders, coaches, leaders of all types come together on this show, having a wonderful time talking about something that I think is important. For the last few weeks, we've been going through a series of the 5 elements of perfect presentation. And we started talking about how to make sure your presentations actually have the magic and they sing the way they're supposed to sing when it comes to dealing with anything you want to deal with. And we talked about how to make sure your presentation has impact, how to make sure you have the drama, how to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to create heroes within the stories and the presentations that you tell. The next phase we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about vision. How do you bring vision into your presentation? How do you make sure that the heroes and the heroines and the people that you present in your stories have that sense of connection to the ultimate vision that you're trying to accomplish, and why should you do it? We're going to find that all the keys to vision, why vision is important. We're going to answer all the tough questions. But before we do that, I got to introduce some coaches that I got with us today, some guest panelists, my superstar, rock star guest panelists. They are absolutely amazing people. Returning for, I think, the second time actually is life coach Mr. James Bond himself. He's going to be here, and he's got some amazing contributions to make during our discussion, and he's just a wonderful person. I'll let him introduce him to a second. And a new acquaintance of mine, Miss C.F. Jackson. She's been on the show too, but she's been sort of background behind the scenes. This time we're going to put her right on up front because she was late last time, but that's all right. We're going to get her on the show, get her right at rocking and rolling, and she's got some amazing gifts and talents. I'm telling you right now, I'm predicting this is going to be the next big producer of shows and association media and everything you're going to think about doing for so many things. And she's one to watch and one to pay attention to. So I'm definitely going to get her on screen as soon as we possibly can. So some homework before we get started. Let's just make sure that if you're watching this from YouTube or you're watching this on Facebook, you watch this on LinkedIn, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and like it, go ahead and share this program with as many people as you possibly can. And if you have any questions in the comment section, go ahead and put the questions in the comment section. You have a comment, a shout out. If you have a business that you want to promote, anything you want to do, go ahead and throw that in the comment section, because I can then take that and post it on the screen for you and make sure you have everything you need to have. If you haven't joined me on LinkedIn yet, do that. If you haven't joined me on Facebook yet, do that. And if you haven't joined me on the last social media piece, YouTube, you got to join me on YouTube. And that's where we can keep this party going. We've been doing this now. This is well over the 100th show. So we are into second season, so to speak, and we're doing really, really well. And if anybody likes to get in contact with me or have any comments or anything they want to share, I'm available and I am here for you. You can see my text message. You can see my little hashtag. If you hashtag 9-Step Guru, that's me. I'm the 9-Step Guru. And we'll talk about a little bit about that. We got a lot of free tools for you today. We got a lot of access to a lot of information. So hang in there. This is going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot of fun. And before we do anything else, I got to do my little branding moment, just so because one of my good friends put this wonderful commercial together for me. And if I don't play it, he gets mad at me. So here it is. I love that little thing. So we have a lot of fun today. We have a lot of special guests in the studio. And before we introduce Mr. Bond, I'm going to bring to the table Miss C.F. Jackson. And she is an absolute dynamo when it comes to producing all kinds of video content on Roku. She's the Roku master. She can show you how to make sure your channel is rocking and rolling and doing all the things it's supposed to do, getting all the advertising you need to get, all the media exposure that you need to get, all available at your fingertips. All you got to do is call the boss, call Miss Jackson, and she will make it happen for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Miss C.F. Jackson. You got to come off mute, boss.
No. Greetings. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here today.
How's it going?
It's wonderful. I am totally, as Les Brown said, I'm doing better than good and better than most. So I am very appreciative.
Oh, I got a Les Brown story for you. I met him when I was a young man. I think I was about 21. I was 21 or 22 years old, and I had just pledged my fraternity. He had come to our national convention as a speaker, and I was one of the few people to come up to him afterwards and, just say thank you for coming on board. Thank you for presenting to us. It was such a wonderful show and all that kind of stuff. And he said to me, "You're going to be a speaker." And I said, "Oh my God, you must be out of your mind. There's no possible way that I'm ever going to get in front of people, be in front of audience, talking to people, sharing my ideas and thoughts. It's not going to be me." Because at the time I was studying to be an architect, and I was in my architecture program at Kent State University, and I was not going to think about anything else except, hiding behind my desk and doing my little drawings and making sure these buildings got put up.
Right.
As life would have it, here I am, in spaces where I could be motivational and doing the thing. So Les was actually right. So I've seen it many times since then. And I said, "Man, you had a prediction for me." I know you tell everybody that, but it actually came true in my case. So Mamie Brown's baby boy, that's my favorite dude. Okay, Miss Jackson, why don't you tell us about you? What's your business all about, and how can we play?
Sure, pretty much in a nutshell, I help entrepreneurs, business coaches, and experts go from YouTube to TV really easily and simplistically. In a nutshell, I discovered that I was struggling with YouTube. No matter what I did, nothing seemed to work. I would spend a lot of time to get one video recorded, uploaded, and tagged, and just did not see anything move. I'm not sure how many people can relate to that. And so somebody mentioned to me in 2013 about this whole streaming thing about Roku. Now, when they first mentioned it, I tell people oftentimes that Google can be your friend or your foe. So here I am being smart. I came home and Googled this streaming platform, Roku. Like, I never heard of that, but I have heard Sony. Sony, we all had a Sony Walkman, a boom box, or something that had Sony. We knew Sony, so I knew Sony. So what? I went and bought the Sony, and I was complacent. Marvin. I said, I got cable, it's cool to the device. I can do a network for my PC. I can put in a USB port and download videos. I'm in it. 6 months later, a friend came to me and mentioned this whole thing of Roku to me again. Like, "Yo, sis, you can get on TV with this thing." I'm like, "Man, what is this? How can I get on the Sony?" Because why? Everybody knows Sony. I kind of put Roku like in the place of sketches when they first came out. You may get them, but you really didn't want any sketches. You kind of be kind of shy getting sketches. But sketches is a household name now, right? Right along with Roku. So I went ahead and said, okay, I couldn't get on the Sony. I bought the Roku, and I have not looked back. And I thought to myself, when people say I define TV, it's not just a name of a company, it's a statement. When you say to yourself, I define TV, television is built by you. And I'm hoping to help 5,000 entrepreneurs recognizing the game has changed. You don't need to have major TV networks or anything like that to get you on TV. We have it now. And you no longer have to wait for Oprah Winfrey or some other platform. You can do it yourself. And that's my mission, is to show you we all currently have what we need: our smartphones, our digital camcorders, our webcams. It's all about the content, deliverability, and what your message is. And I'm here to help with doing that with I Define TV.
And so my love and my passion is creating collaborative partnerships and creating togetherness, and just finding ways to bring the business community together in ways. And when I met CF, I was like, this is amazing. She is super sharp, super smart, and she's got it going on. I can't wait to introduce her to every association leader, every person that I know in the Washington metropolitan area, because this program, this opportunity can literally dominate everybody who was having a national conference before COVID-19 started, and has realized that, business as usual. We're not going back to running all over the country, having all these conferences and hotels and all those kinds of. We're not going back to that anytime soon. And so this is a great time for us to take advantage of all this technology and to do the things that we need to do to create more opportunities than we ever have before. The economy is doing well. So many organizations that have embraced, online presence and the streaming and the platforms and all the content creation opportunities has absolutely done amazingly well, while everybody else is sitting around waiting for, COVID to be over so things can get back to normal. There's a new normal. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not the old way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to have you on, and I'm glad to know you. And I know we're going to do some special things together. I'm going to put you backstage right now for a minute, and so I can bring the coach, the life coach on, and we'll talk a little bit about him in just a second. Brother Bond, let me tell you something about him. You all know that I'm a coach. All right. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows I'm a coach. And I rarely give it up to somebody and I would say, and would say, this dude is better. This person is better than me. Just want you to know, I'm not ego tripping here. I just, it is what it is. The only person I've ever given credit to that I think might be better than me would be the gentleman who literally invented coaching. And right now, I have to say, nope. It's James Bond. This is the guy. This is the guy you want to talk about when it comes to master life coaching and really understanding what the coaching phenom is all about, what the world, what's going on. And he's a person that you need to listen to, you need to hear from, and you need to endorse. And so I'm doing it. That's the way it is. I don't see competition. All I see is my brother in the same space, just doing amazing things. And I'm just so proud to have him on the show once again. And I'll have him back as many times as he'll come back, because he's just got so much to offer and so much to deliver. Let me tell you a little something. Let me bring him to the stage, Mr. Life Coach James Bond. Brother Bond, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing, Brother Powell?
Fantastic.
Good,
Why don't you tell us about your business and how we can get involved with you?
Yes, I am Bond, James Bond, the best life coach on planet Earth. Why? Because the great I am said that I am. I know this is approval right now in my life because this is a calling. It's not a hobby. It is a calling. It's not a part-time gig. It is a calling. It's what I'm put on earth to do. So your life does not make any sense when it literally sucks. When you don't understand your business is not profitable, you need to call me as soon as possible to schedule a time. The most important part about life is that you deserve an opportunity. And that's what I can show you how to get that. welldrivenlife.com is my company. The best way to contact me is my website or 866-775-5233. At the end of the day, you need and deserve the room to flourish personally or in your business. So if you have not yet scheduled an appointment with me, shame on you. I don't have any set programs necessarily because I learned after 13 years of doing this, everybody's an individual. So stop being put into a box. You are not a box. You are a human being. So today I dare you to schedule an appointment to see, to understand 2022 is time. And guess what? Success is waiting on you. You're not waiting on success. It's here. It's time. So stop waiting. Coach Bond, James Bond.
Amen. Can the church say amen? CF is backstage. She's saying amen. I'm reading her lips.
That's right.
It's a great thing, guys. Like I said earlier, I don't give it up like this to too many people, but I know this brother, and he is just an amazing, talented, amazing gift to our planet, and is somebody that you need to get in the space with and enjoy as much as you possibly can, as much as he will possibly allow. Use all the gifts he has to bring to the table, because he's got some major gifts. If you have questions, definitely put them in the chat about what we're going to go to today, and I'll put Brother Bond back in the hot box for just a second. Today we're going to talk about vision, why vision is important, and why you need to add it to every presentation that you do. And I want you to imagine if you're having a conversation, you're communicating to a group of people, you're communicating just even to somebody who you might want to invite to your advisory council or be the mentor for you, or somebody that you think might be able to help you. You have to give them all of the information they need to have to make it feel like it's the right opportunity for them. And there's no greater way to do this than to tell amazing, engaging, connecting stories. Stories are the way that we have communicated and transferred information, human to human, being to being, way before we could write, way before we even drew pictures. We would just tell stories with each other around the campfire. And guess what? These stories in great detail will be transferred person to person, place to place, for generations. And the stories never changed, never got any problems. And I'll give you an example. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. You know that story. I know that story. Worldwide, children all over the place, all over, learn that story. And we never forgot it. Why is that? Why is it that we never forgot that Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water? Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Why is it that we didn't forget that story? Why do we know? Even to this day, no matter how old we are, no matter when we heard it, we only had to hear it 1 or 2 times, and it's now embedded in our memory, and we can transfer it exactly from person to person to person. So many of you people get up and you try to give a presentation, you try to share people with a whole bunch of facts and a whole bunch of details and a whole bunch of information, and those are things that are important. What I'm going to tell you, though, is you embed that information, if you embed those facts and those details in a story, that story is going to stick. It's going to be memorable. It's going to be something that people can be able to use and help uplift them and move them forward. So I talked to you earlier, if you've been following, this is the 4th installment of the mastery, story selling mastery program that I offer. And the first time we talked about why your story should have an impact. How do you create an impact right off the bat when you first start talking to somebody? The reason that you create impact has nothing to do with your name. It has nothing to do with the name of your company, nothing to do with your brand. Everybody keeps saying, well, I got to brand myself. I got to brand. Yes, your brand is important, but it's not more important than the benefits that you offer to people. And so you have to learn to hit people right off the bat before you introduce yourself and tell them your name and all that kind of stuff, because they don't care about that anyway. Why don't you hit them with a story? Hit them with something that's going to have an immediate impact. You got to learn to do that. You also have to learn, when you embed your conversation or your communication or your presentations, whatever you do, you have to make sure that there's drama present in the communication. The reason why you want drama present in the communication is because people need to feel, not just hear. They need to know that there's power and there's passion behind the information that you're sharing. And the only way to do that is for them to create an emotional connection, an emotional piece of content that helps them feel the various ranges of emotion. If you're telling a good story, you're going to run people through happiness and sadness and depression and anxiety and fear, and then they're going to be back to excitement and jubilation and strategy and connection. All of that needs to be embedded in the stories that you tell. So your character has to go on what we call the hero's journey, right? Where there's anguish and suffering up front, and there's disconnection, and there's trauma, and our poor hero doesn't know how he's going to get out of the situation. But then along comes an idea or a strategy or some type of uplifting that creates the energy and the success the hero needs to have to overcome the obstacle, to slay the dragon, to do the thing that needs to have happen. So the first 3 parts of your story are already there: impact, drama, and hero. Once you've done that, once you've brought people through the hero's arc, right? You've helped them understand their protagonists, the characters, all there. The next thing you got to do is you got to implant in the audience a vision. What do you want them to do with this story? Do you want them to retell it? Who do you want them to retell it to? Why do you want them to retell it? Because you know how sometimes you go to a movie theater or you go to a show or you go to something and it's such a great experience. You can't wait to share it with the people that you love, your friends, your associates. Oh my God, I was at this concert this other night, and let me tell you how Prince laid it down. Or I was at this show the other day, and oh my God, it was an amazing show. You got to go see it. Let's go back together. I want to see it again. I'll go back with you. You know, when the story is that good, when the experience is that wonderful, or that enlightening, or that powerful, people want to share it. Now, if you tell the story correctly, though, if you share the information correctly, guess what? They don't have to bring everybody else to see it. themselves. So you who think, I want my messages to go viral. I want to be in a situation where the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm saying make a big difference and will make a big difference for the long term, right? People who are like that, if you are like that, if you're experiencing that, then you're going to want to follow every single along the way that I'm sharing with you today. You're going to want to have impact. You're going to want to have drama. You're going to want to make sure that there is a hero's arc. And finally, you want to have a vision that people can feel like they can share with others and be a part of themselves and participate in. I'm having some serious connection problems. I don't know why or how it's happening, but I'm going to make a player decision and I'm going to switch to another network that I think is more stable. Well, I got to turn my phone back on. But while I'm doing that, I'll continue the presentation. So let's talk about storytelling. Let's talk about what it takes to create a great vision in the story. There's three things that you want the vision part of your story to do for you. First thing you want it to do is to strengthen and empower others. You want people to feel connected to the character. You want them to connect to you, and you want them to feel like everything in the communication, everything in the strategy that you're sharing with them is going to be easy for them to share. So things are the no-nos, things you have to stay away from. You stay away from jargon, industry jargon. You stay away from, things that are irrelevant to the hero of your story that has to do with their growth and development. You want to make sure that people are connected to that story. You want to make sure people are connected to that hero. So you want them to feel engaged. You want them to feel a part of it. You want them to feel like they're doing the things they need to do. So you want them to be strengthened and empowered to go out and tell the story themselves. So that means you have to give them all the details. Your character has to have an arc. It has to have a place. It has to have somebody has to have a space that they live in. They have to have a name. They have to have a family. They have to have something about them that you can connect the character to, so people can feel like I can tell this story because they know this person. You want them to be that familiar with their character. The other thing is it has to be super engaging. That's why I talked to you about earlier. That's why the drama has to be there. If there's no drama, if there's no emotional content that you're sharing, if people aren't crying and laughing and jumping up and down and feeling excited, your story is not good enough. Facts are not going to make that happen. Only people going through issues and people being empathetic with people with issues and seeing that story unfold, that's how that's going to happen. The third thing that you need to embed in your story is you need to embed what we call universal connection. People need to feel like they see themselves as a part of the success, or part of the story, or part of the ability, willingness, and the ability to tell the story and move it forward. If that doesn't happen, then what you're going to find is you will have given a great presentation in your own mind, but no one's going to share it with other people like they need to. And I have a training manual here that I'm going to share with you on vision and what vision is all about, and how to embed vision into your stories. And so I'm going to put it in the chat box right now, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube and on Facebook. We're not live on LinkedIn today. We had a little glitch in the system, so that LinkedIn kicked us off. But if you can download that program, you can see it there. And I'm also going to put it in the private chat with my buddies, so they can get access to it as well. So you guys can download that training. I am not going to go through the whole training with you, because it's a lot of information and it's more than we can do in the show. But you can download that, share it with your friends, do whatever you want to do with it. It's yours to do whatever you want to do with it. I'm not interested in, although my name is copyrighted on there and I did create it, I'm not interested in, taking anybody to court or making it my content, not sharing it with anybody, because ultimately what I'm sharing is universal principles. There's not something I created. It's not something I can own. Although, the expressions of how it all comes out, and that is my stuff. But, I'm giving it to you. So do whatever you want to do with it. Feel like, if you want to, you can take my name off and put your name on it. I don't care. I want to make sure that you are blessed and empowered with this information so that you can use it. And if you'll notice on there, there's a lot of information that comes from, biblical sources and a lot of quotes from real powerful people, but the exercise is there on how you need to embed the video vision into your streams and all that kind of stuff is very, very powerful. So I'm going to bring our fellow coaches back up, and we're going to chat it up for a minute. And if you all have any questions, again, post the questions in the chat. If you have a business you'd like to highlight or share, post that information in the chat. If there's something that you want to even just say, go ahead and do that as well. And I will throw a question out to either one of you all can answer the question. Is like, don't feel like, you're compelled. If you don't have a thought about it, then don't try to fake it. Just let us know that I only have a thought about that. But the reason why I came up with this this process of presenting to people is because I know a lot of people are like me, they're introverts, and I work on systems. If I have a strategy or a system to do things, a process to do things, it's going to be much more useful for me than if I just try to shoot from the hip. If I try to shoot from the hip, we got a problem, because extemporaneous thoughts and ideas don't necessarily come to me the way I want them to. So I always have to have my notes. I always have to have my well thought out, well planned out strategy for presentation, all that kind of stuff, because I want to put my best foot forward, and I don't want to forget to say the things I want to forget or do the things I want to do. I want to make sure that I bring it all the time whenever I bring it. And so I put this program together after analyzing, tons of speeches and TED Talks and programs and things like that people had. And I realized that there's some things that people make mistakes with doing. Like anytime people introduce themselves, the first thing they say is, my name is blah, 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 blah. And I work for blah, 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 blah. And I've been at this for many years and da, 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 da. And like, nobody cares. I know when I've heard it, I haven't cared. I'm like, really? This, you want to waste the first 20, 30 seconds talking to me about something that's irrelevant? Yes, I do want to know your name after you impress me. You can give me your business card and give me all that information, or you can tell me the name afterwards. But right up front, what I need to know is, why are we talking? What is it that you have to share? What did you have to bring to the table that makes any sense whatsoever? Because if you have that, it's perfect. I gotta put it. If you have that strategy in place that grabs people right off the bat and grabs their attention and gets them engaged right off the bat, then you waste none of their time. You waste none of that effort, none of that energy. And a lot of us are talking to potential stakeholders. We're talking to referral sources. We're talking to potential advisors or mentors. We're talking to potential people who could buy from us. And all we're saying is the same wrong things over and over and over. You have to be able to respond in a way that help people, I think, connect. And I love stories. I love stories for that same reason, because I know that, it's the natural human aspect of how we communicate. And we can go back to that. It's like back to basics, right? Tell a story. We didn't, before recently, the president never had a PowerPoint at a State of the Union address. But they always told great stories, of constituents that had this problem or this issue, and how their solution would solve that problem. That is always some person they want us to connect to, even in their presentations and their speeches, so that we can feel like, oh, okay, that could be us.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can repeat, something that we can tell. The I have a dream speech, how many times have you heard it? How many times has it been presented or repackaged in a different way? But still, it's the same basic energy, right? I know every pastor does it every Sunday. They bring a story into the whole situation, and everybody goes, "Oh wow, okay." It's a story. It might be a Bible story, but it's still a story. It's a story that brings up the familiar. It's a story that connects us. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about any of that? Any of that yip yang that I shared?
Jackson?
Well, I concur. I know for myself, personally, I like to tell a story. It took me a minute to get to a point I'm saying it in terms of a business. But personally, I feel that I can build a better relationship with somebody through telling my story. If I tell you stories about myself, you learn about me easier that way than me just divulging some stuff haphazardly. So if something comes up, I'm going to tell you something about my mother, about my grandmother, about myself, childhood, whatever. And over the time period, you're going to learn a lot about me through story. And personally, that's what I love. It has taken me a while to get to the point of having story for business, because that is the same value as you have personally, is adding that story for your business side of it and how to connect. So I definitely agree with you in terms of telling stories that you know that can capture their attention, that encompass my personality, and make sure that one time from my personal side, my business side may not always connect. I may be a little bit more rogue on the personal side, so I don't want to bring that into the business side, but I enjoy having people smile and laugh. So stories allows me to tell you a lot about who I am, what I am, and I definitely agree with that in terms of how to do it and to be transparent. And it's taken me a while to get to that point, because sometimes I think, how many times can I hear that story? But you think about it, the most successful, most outgoing, the most well-known people, if you're discussing earlier, like Les Brown. I know the story left and right. I mean, that story has been embedded into my nucleus. It's part of my life. I don't know who Mamie Brown is in terms of personally, but I feel as if I know her, because that's something that he has done, has shared, and has been abandoned in this building in Miami, Liberty City, to his twin brother. And I mean, you just hear it over and over again. And sometimes no one wants to hear that all the time. Like, well, why am I shunning my story? Because Les Brown's successful, who's done it, from Tony Robbins and whomever, they tell their story because of the fact that not everyone's heard it. And sometimes you get better at it. Somebody who needs to hear it again now is going to be inspired, going to be encouraged, and feel that they can do it. So stories are very pivotal. I wrote a novel, so I love stories. You watch TV all the time, or what movies you watch, it's a story. So how can you develop that story? And one thing I have to say too, oftentimes you go to the biblical side, I say this oftentimes, we know the story of Jesus and everything else, but you have your own story. How can you know your own story and build your own story in order for you to connect with somebody else? If you don't know your own story, how can you relate to somebody else and serve them better if you can constantly refer to somebody else's message? Know your story and you can relate to other people better. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. And that makes sense. It's funny talking about, because again, we all present stories. One of the things I call it, I guess, conversation starters, but it comes back to a story. If you ask me, okay, look at my bow tie, and he says, well, is that a real bow tie? Then I go back to 21 years ago when I was in the retail world, and a salesperson talked me into wearing a bow tie, showed me how to tie it. I tied it the second time, and I haven't stopped wearing them since. So yeah, it comes down to be, well, what is the story about? Why do you have this, or why do you wear that? So now I think it's so important, again, like I said, to get the buy-in, because people want to know mainly, are you real? Are you human? Before I start opening up back, reverse the door, open up back to you as well, share my stories with you. But I think, yeah, it's very important to have people understand that you're a human being. To me, that's what kind of a story does. Are you real, or are you silver spoon? Are you spoon fed, or, so to speak, or are you have you been through a thing or two like I've been through? And then people tend to be more over, and I'm opposite of my brother. I'm an extreme extrovert. So, the one thing that for me I had to get used to over the years is actually writing things down, because I guess you could say that's a gift. I can pick up a fork and talk about a fork for 6 hours nonstop, and go back to my first thought about the fork. Well, you said an hour ago you said this. Okay, an hour ago, yeah, I said this, and it's a gift. But at the same time, as I got some years, some seasoning, I have to write it down so I don't make sure that don't forget what I'm talking about. So I definitely agree with stories have to take place because they're valuable.
I love, one of the things I love about stories is, when you tell a story, people get to find out, even if you tell the story about somebody else, people get to experience your character through yours telling of the story. Because when you share the story, then people get to see what you're passionate about. They get to see, what you bring to the table. And, we're in love with some of the greatest storytellers that we've never seen on camera. But Spielberg excites us, keeps us coming back for more. Francis Ford Coppola keeps us coming back for more. These are storytellers. They're not in the story, and it's not their story.
That's right.
But it still invites us into an experience that allows us to then, feel that humanity and feel that connection, which I love. It's just so important that when we do that, because it's really, when it's all said and done, everything we do is about helping people feel safe. And when we can tell those stories, and we can make it real to them, whatever it is that we're offering, whether it's a product or a service, if we can make it real to them through story, they're going to feel much safer with it, and they're going to have more confidence in it. And it's the difference between I went and bought something on the internet and I got a transaction, and I'm not sure if it's going to fit me, but I just ordered it because hey, here we go, it's Amazon, it's coming to my house, it's COVID-19, and there's really no story. There's really no anything to give me confidence. There's really nothing about this that can share any information with me except the facts. It's this size, it's this color, it's this material. Maybe I get a couple blurbs about it here and there. And if I dig deep, I might find somebody who's rating it, or who might have said, what, I got it and it really worked out really well for me. Because those are the things that give me comfort. It's the stories that people will tell about the thing. All right. It's not the thing that the manufacturer says to me about the thing. Right. It's how other people have experienced the thing that gives me that sense. So I always tell people all the time, tell people about your references and your what people say about you. Tell those stories.
Yeah.
Because you sitting around saying I'm the greatest thing sliced cheese doesn't hold weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? But if somebody else says, listen, I just got this major award. I don't know why they gave it to me, because I'm not sure I deserve it, but I'm honored and privileged to have received it. And here's what they said about me. Mm-hmm. Now, even though you're relaying the information, it's not you telling the story about you. It's relaying somebody else is telling the story about you. And that gives it more credibility, and that gives it more juice, because he'd be like, oh, wow. I didn't even know they gave awards for that, whatever that was. But now they know. And you didn't have to say, I'm the greatest thing since sliced cheese. Right? You didn't have to say it. And so I think sometimes that's really, really important. And if you tell that story, other people will go ahead and transfer that story. Because, and again, it's not about you. It's about the story. Even though the story's about you. Right. They'll remember it and they'll share it. Because it's simple. It's easy. And if you ever tell people, like, oh, if you ever won an award, you told people the anguish and the pain that you had to go through just to be considered. Now they're really in love with you. Because when people win the Academy Awards, we don't know what they had to do to win that award. We just know they won the award.
Correct.
But we find out later on in the after show, or when the article's written, and they talk about, how long they've been waiting to win this award. They've been working for 20. What was that one? Anybody know that one actress, daytime Emmy Award winner? She waited like 20 years.
Susan Lucci.
Yes.
Erica. Right? Yeah. Erica.
She's been putting it down for 20 years, or more, or something like that. And finally, she got her day. It's like, oh, finally, I won this daytime Emmy, kind of thing. And I think that, that story is what makes it compelling. Every year we were wondering, is she going to win this year? Is she going to she's been nominated 50 times. Is she going to win this year? And because it's the story. It's the drama. We're in the drama.
Yeah.
We didn't even listen to the rest of the nominees when they were read. We're just, okay, yes, she's nominated. Okay, great. Let's see, can she win? And that kept people actually coming. And once she finally won, people stopped coming.
Yeah.
People stop watching. Because the story has more power than the facts or the feature.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, it's compelling, it's interesting, it grabs people. So I love that part of story. Next week, we're going to be talking about the last part of the 5 elements of perfect presentation. We're going to be talking about recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part where I think people should then say, this is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. This is what I offer. This is my team. These are my people. These are the facts and the features that I want you to know about my product or service. Because if you start with the facts and the features about your product and service, it's not enough for people they won't see your character in that. But if you start with a story, they'll see your character. Because I don't know, what was it? Oh, it's Covey. Stephen Covey says, you need to have, in order for people to trust you, they need to trust both your character and your competence.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you got a degree on your wall, I got some of them, right? Just because you got a degree on your wall, just because you've served and been in position and title, that does not mean you have character, right? That might be an indication that you could possibly have competence, but it doesn't mean you have character. You have character when what you open up your mouth and you speak the truth, and it resonates with authenticity, and people can feel that. That's when they know you have character, and that's when they're going to get it. What you might have heard of this term, amygdala hijack.
Yes. Cognizant. Yes. Love that.
So people can fall in love with people who have character, and they're just emotionally involved and emotionally invested, and they'll do things based on emotion that they would never do. It's not even rational anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're getting an amygdala hijack. You know, they're just falling in love. And what your brain does when you find somebody who you just want to be around, you just want to talk to, you just want to hear from all the time, your brain kind of creates this chemical called oxytocin.
Mm-hmm.
We call that the love drug.
Correct.
So it's really, you get that warm and fuzzy feeling about this person. That it might be, and it could be on the screen, it could be on a stage, it could be, all somebody has to do is tell you the right story in the right way, and we're all susceptible to it. A great salesman wins me every time. Why? Because they know how to tell me the right kind of stories, and I go, oh yeah, and they get me going, oh yeah, okay. Next thing you know, I've been doing this so long, I'm just gonna buy whatever they have, whether I need it or not. I just love the presentation. I love being involved. Now, I'm not suggesting that you use any stuff that I'm teaching you guys to manipulate other people. Right? Use it all for good. I got some pushback from my favorite person here. Miss Nancy says to me, she says, I've seen you field questions from all of them out with perfect competence and finesse. And yes, Nancy, you are right. I have done that, but I still have a system. I have a strategy. I have a technique, a go-to technique, and I've done it so much that it seems to you like, I'm shooting from the hip, but I'm never shooting from the hip. I don't have what it takes. I don't think that fast on my feet. I need to sit and ruminate on some ideas and some questions. I know Nancy might know this, but I want to share this with you guys. When I first started doing Coffee, Tea, You and Me, I was coming out of the financial world. As a financial advisor, and it's a program that I would do here in Northern Virginia. I sit down at a coffee shop with entrepreneurs and business leaders and just talk to them, because I was sitting on so many boards and so many committees and so much community stuff I was doing. I just needed to just tell everybody, if you want to talk to me, come find me here at the coffee shop on Fridays between 3 to 5. I will be sitting right there. So if you want to ask me questions about the community foundation, if you want to ask me questions about the homeowners association, if you want to ask me questions about whatever business association we're involved in together, that's where I'm going to be. That's my free time. You can have it. I'll have a cup of coffee. If nobody shows up, I'll have a book. I'll read. I'll catch up with my reading, and it'll be fine. And for almost 20 years, I rarely ever was there by myself. But I didn't answer certain questions when I first started. People say, well, because people would ask me, I was like, I'll talk to you about anything except money. We can't talk about financial advising. We can't talk about money. I don't want to talk about it. I'm bored with it. It's nothing I'm interested in. And I'm sure if you need advice on that, I can find somebody else to give you advice on that. But anything else we can talk about. And people would come to me and ask me all kinds of questions, and they wouldn't stump me because I had a system by which I would refer to every time somebody asked me a question. And so I'll go, that's interesting. You should ask that question. Tell me more. Why is that so important to you? And they get to express their thoughts and their ideas, right? I'm like, okay. So it seems to me like if you really wanted to do this, then you probably want to be connected to people who are a little bit closer to your industry and so on and so forth, right? And they go, yeah, okay. So who is it that you really need to have like sort of fall in love with you? And they would go, well, it'd be this person, that person. Okay, so we probably need to work out a strategy that's going to make that happen so that you not only can get this question answered, but you can get any question you ever have answered, right? Well, yeah. And then we talk about that. So I never had to answer the question. And I ended up answering the question that I wanted to answer anyway, was how do you build a high quality relationship so you don't have to worry about where to go and get your questions answered. You know? And that was the point, that because, you know, I still do that. I still want people to understand that everything we know came from somebody else.
Everything.
Whether we read it in a book, we saw it on a show, a television, a training, or we even had a personal conversation. But now the benefit, if we had a personal conversation with somebody and they imparted some meaningful information to us, the opportunity we then have is to show them what, you know, CF and I were talking about this earlier when we were backstage before you got on, James. You get the benefit of showing them that you respect them. When somebody gives you information face-to-face, person-to-person, you can tell them, I really love that. And I really love that you shared that with me. Thank you so very much. This means a lot to me. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go off and I'm going to try this technique or this thing and I'm going to put it to good work and good use. Would you mind if I follow up with you and just let you know how it went? There's nobody who I've ever said that to has ever told me no. Which is why I have every mentor that I need. I have every person on my advisory council that I need. Because I show up all the way, I engage fully, and I help people understand that I respect them for their time. I appreciate them for their efforts. I am thankful for whatever resources they're willing to share with me or connections they're willing to make. So much so that they feel like, oh my God, I've never been around someone who has elevated me so. Hey, Dwight is in the house.
I just jumped in, man. How's everybody?
Good to see you. Good to see you, brother.
Glad to be here.
We're talking about, in fact, you jumped in at the right time because we're talking about respect and how you share those ideas with other people and let them know that you have the respect for them. Not just that general, I respect you because you're a human being. No, I respect you because there's something in you that I see that is valuable, something in you that I appreciate, that I hold you in high regard, and I have a great connection with you. That's the kind of respect that I think we have to share with each other before we start complaining, you don't respect me. You know, you hear that a lot, right? With certain people. You know,
absolutely.
they don't feel like they're being respected because somebody may have said something to them and got them a little sideways. But you know, my daughter said it to me the other day, and I almost got a little bit miffed with her when she shared it with me, but I realized she got it from me. She said to me, Dad, respect is earned, right? And I said, okay. All right, let me just break this down for you, because I had to go and look up the word because I realized I never did that before, and I have maybe taught her the wrong thing without knowing it, that I was teaching her the wrong thing, because that's what I heard about respect too. That was passed on to me. Respect is earned, right? I'm like, okay, all right, let me look at that. The dictionary says respect means to hold someone in something about someone, some characteristic of theirs in high regard. That's what it means.
Yep.
So how do you hold somebody in high regard if you don't know them?
Exactly. Uh-oh.
That's right.
True.
It's quite impossible.
Right.
It's a whole other mindset right there. You know how many people be tossed on their head with that? Every adult, grandmother, father, sister, aunt. You really, it's a whole other level that people would know how to react to that, because now it's a real definition, not it's a saying.
Right. It's like you people want respect because of something they've done that nobody else even knows they've done, or just because they've gotten to a certain age. It's like, time out, partner. I wasn't there with you in that walk. I don't know you, what you did, or what you brought to the table. Give me something that I can respect you for. What is it that I should have? What is it that you have? What is it that you're doing that I should hold in high regard? What is it that you have that I should be appreciative of, ungrateful for? What contribution have you made that I maybe mistakenly didn't see? Maybe you can refresh my memory so that I know that this is why I should respect you. But other than that, I'm just going to appreciate you. I'm not giving you, you don't get the respect. you don't get the respect if I don't know you. I can't.
Right.
And so when I had to share that with my daughter, I was like, okay, Daddy, I had to own up. Daddy taught you wrong, boo boo.
Good one.
So you can't play this card against me anymore. About how respect is earned, and I need to earn your respect. And da 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 da. Let me tell you right now what I respect about you, because I know you. You don't have to. We don't have to have this conversation anymore. But now you need to tell me what you respect about me, because you know me.
Absolutely.
And then you talk. Now you're in a place where you can have a real conversation with somebody and not worry about, oh, do you respect me? Do I not respect you? Just tell people what it is that you do respect about them. What is it that you do appreciate in them? What is it that you do hold in high regard that they do something special about them? If you don't have anything to share about that, don't mess around talking about I respect you. No, you don't. You don't even know me.
Yeah.
That's just I'm off my soapbox. I was preaching for a little bit just because I had Dwight in the room, It's like, so Dwight, tell us all about yourself and what you're doing. I already told CF that I think you're the greatest thing, and you got some amazing things going on. Why don't you tell us, our listening audience, who you are and what you bring to the table?
Well, my name is Dwight Reed. I'm the CEO of AON Studios / AON Meetings / AON TV, and we have.
Right. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Dwight has created the most revolutionary app that ever existed on the planet. He is about ready to take over Zoom and anybody else who thinks they have a meeting platform that makes any sense whatsoever. He is the owner of that thing. Now you can tell us all that boring stuff that we
Next.
Yeah. Well, let me start over then, because I think the lead-in is all about the AON Meetings platform, which we are, I'm sure, the only Black-owned virtual platform in the country. And so we are just now trying to scale this platform. And I think what we bring to the table in this arena is affordability with quality. So what people are paying, $90, $100 for on Zoom and some of the other platforms, you get on the AON Meetings for $16.99. You can do paid webinars from the platform. Our Stripe fees are only 4%, as opposed to on most other platforms you're looking at 7, 8. Now we actually seen some that were 15%. So we're trying to provide a way for everyone to be able to be in the electronic world as to what's going on right now, because virtual meetings aren't going anywhere. When COVID leaves, these virtual meetings will still be here, and this is just where we're going for the future. So Elwood Meetings is trying to be a part of future technology of where we're headed for in the future. And so we're just grateful for the opportunity to be in this space and connect with other Black and brown business owners, and to see how we can, help each other to be more successful.
Fantastic. Dwight, I'm going to have you, if you can, you're going to see a little box on your screen that says private chat. Do me a favor and post all your contact information in there, whether it's your websites or whatever. Same thing, CF. James was supposed to tell you how to do that, but he dropped the ball. Maybe he is not the greatest life coach in the day. Private chat, and I will post it so that everybody can see how to get in contact with you, because the audience is already asking for you. Like, how do we find this AON stuff? We want to know how to get it. So go ahead and post that in the private chat section, and I will make sure that I share it with everybody who is interested.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. I see the meeting and the website and that. Okay, awesome. Wait a minute. Come on, man. Pick it up. Okay. While we're doing that, why don't we were talking earlier about the importance of vision in the stories that you tell, and how what you want people to do as a result of meeting or hearing from you. What story can you tell them that they can pass on to other people? So if you think about it, we all have a story. We all have some amazing client, some amazing prospect, some amazing referral source that we could talk about. And, let's just practice with each other. We'll do it live. Whoever wants to play. Who could tell me a client story? Somebody who was suffering before they met you.
Awesome. I can start that if it's okay.
All right. Change the name to protect the innocent.
Yeah, I never use names. I have a big contract. My contract has a lot of liability in it, so I don't have any names.
So tell us about this client. Where were they located? What was their situation?
Southwest corner of the United States. Called me up, a referral, says that my life sucks. I am dying. I had the hardest time. They didn't make it to my office today. And this was a CEO of a major company out that way. And he says, I'm dying. So I'm talking to him, that I can hear in his voice that people say, well, he's not dying, but I hear in his voice, because of my gift is discernment. He was spiritually and mentally. So, which is actually worse than physically, if you guys understand what I'm saying there. So went out and scheduled time. We spent about 3.5 months together total. Owned a major company there, deals with media. And what happened with this particular person is that they had finished college in that degree field, top performer. So the owner says, you know what, I'm going to get out of here. Won't you buy me out, because you're top performer anyway? So bought the owner out. 27 years later, sitting at his desk, and had the hardest time getting from his car to his desk, walking through his building, just completely struggling, completely torn up. So we talked, and I realized, okay, I go back pretty deep to people getting the headspace a little, because I want to make sure I'm over delivering when I talk to you, because I want you to overstand life, not understand it. Big difference. And so after that time, I said, okay, what was the first time you ever received money for a service? No, go back as far as you can go back. Well, I was 7 years old. I had a lemonade stand in the yard. Okay, great. Next job you had at junior high, soda ice cream shop. Okay. High school, same thing. Okay, I said stop. So I almost give me just a minute to process that. Okay, now, why did you, out of college, go into the field of media? Well, I was good at it. Okay. So what I had to explain to him was that you've been operating in your talent for 27 years and you forgot about your passion. Big difference. Big difference. I said the reason why you're lost right now is because your talent only takes you so far, but your passion is what's going to have you sleeping well every night. And so we went back to those job situations. What I found out was that I said, why didn't you go into the ice cream soda shop when you graduated college? Well, yeah, I talked to my little circle. My friends thought it was a stupid idea. Okay, great. Now stop. Put a pin there. Take out your phone. Tell me the 3 people that you talked to the most this past week, more than one time. Who did you talk to this past week? Took the phone out. Okay, now 3 names on the paper. Tell me out of these 3 names here, which one of these 3 absolutely love their job or their profession? None of them. So then how dare you take advice from someone who doesn't even know what happiness, joy looks like? How dare you? I said, I want you to go volunteer at the ice cream shop Thursday and Friday and Saturday morning, 2 hours for free. Just tell me you're doing a project for free. Did there for 2 weeks. Said, I cannot believe this. This is incredible. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not what coaches do. People get that twisted all the time. It's a difference. Mentor, coach, different conversation. Now I'm going to tell you what you're saying to yourself. You're saying to yourself that your passion is making people feel happy, making people feel joy, making people remember or build memories. So during this 3 months process, sold a company for a lot of money, bought an ice cream shop. Wife called me. She's completely crying. Who are you? Where'd you come from? My husband's been gone for 27 years. He is skipping to work in the morning. He is waking up. He is literally has been gone for 27 freaking years. So I explained to him that we have to take time. Now in life, you're going to have a job and you're going to have your work.
So let me stop right there. But I want to break this down so everybody understands. The story he just told brought in a human dimension of a person that none of us knows, right? We got a sense for how old the man is. We got a sense for his situation in terms of what he was experiencing in life. We know people of that same age who are having similar or same experiences, don't we? You know, and that's what happens when you do this well, when you tell the story well and you build the character well, people connect to the character and they start running through their own mental Rolodex of people who fit the same demographic description of the character that the person who's sharing the story is on the stage. This is critically important because if James turns around and asks for referrals, we've already thinking about somebody we know that fits the same description of the character he just shared. And we already have enough information. We already have enough information right now to retell the story that he just told us and create more energy for what it is that he does. What he has to tell us now is what's in it for us to repeat this story to the people that we're already thinking about. That's the vision part, right? He now has to tell us, okay, if I share this story with a couple CEOs in my world, what is it I need to do to make sure that they get connected to you and I look good in the process? You know, and I don't have egg on my face. Because if you don't tell me that, it doesn't matter what he says next. Because what he's about to say next probably is going to make me think, well, maybe I should buy his product or service. And if I make the assumption that, you know what, no, I'm not ready for it, I don't want to do it, I'm not going to turn on that referral mind again. So you have to ask yourself, whatever you're going to say next, what is it that you want your audience to do? Do you want them to buy from you and you rule that either in or out? Do you want them to refer you or either rule you in or out? Do you want them to be an advisor for you or rule that in or out? Because the very next thing you say is setting up that next opportunity or diminishing that next opportunity. So what we tend to do when we do these presentations, we tend to box people into one opportunity. And once they say no to that thing, then they're not going to look at the other thing. Because we work so hard to get them to go, okay, we want to buy this product. We want to buy this product. We want to buy this product. And those acts of desperations that I think I'll end up doing or participating in, it looks like it. It looks like you're desperate. And you know, yes, we want to feed a starving man, but we don't want to make a starving man our friend. You know, so out of desperation, you might get a transaction, but you won't get a relationship where somebody will take the story that you're sharing and transfer it to somebody that they trust. And so, because what I do is all about helping people create massive amounts of trust, I make sure they understand that, you know, you got to know what you're looking for before you open up your mouth. Because when you start to enjoy and feeling your own story, that's not going to take you anywhere except for people clap. It's wonderful, but it's entertaining, and that's it. Because that has no legs after you tell the story. I don't know how many, and James knows this probably better than I do. I don't know how many trainers I've heard that say, you know, people only 20% of you are going to follow anything I have to say anyway. And so I'm only talking to 20% of you in the room. How offensive. Even if it's true, should you say that to an audience of people? You know, just that I'm just going to discount everybody in the room, and preferably, hopefully, maybe one or two of you all get something out of this and will buy my $20,000 expensive package or whatever that is. And the rest of y'all could that's a mass marketing approach that will never work in relationships.
No.
You know, and I know it doesn't work for our people. You know, yeah. Right. If the pastor's in the pulpit and only 20% of the people are feeling what he got to say, he's gonna have a job for long.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
That needs to be 80-20 in the other direction.
Absolutely.
You need to have 20 people sitting there going, you know, with the arms folded and just But other people better be on their feet, you know, actively engaged in the process, or that they're not getting it. It's not doing what it needs to do. So the point I'm trying to make to you guys is you got to tell stories, but you got to tell stories for the right reason. And when you bring that vision part of the story in, you got to tell people what is it that you want them to do, and they have to know. They have to see themselves doing it. Because if they don't see themselves doing it with the story that you told, then you're not winning. If your story doesn't make them cry, and by the way, that story that James told us, I was almost in tears. I'm like, I'm feeling for this dude. I'm like, oh my God, what would you to do something for 20-something years and just be miserable about it and just be almost paralyzed, you know, barely able to pick up the phone. Luckily, he was able to pick up the phone and make the call.
Yes.
You know, I would have sunk that a little deeper. I would have made people resonate in that pain and suffering just a little while longer, James. Because when they come out of it with your solutions that you provide, the distance between the pain, the anguish, and the suffering, and the happiness and the joy and the elation is where the winning is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we don't suffer, if we don't feel the suffering, then we can't enjoy the privilege.
Correct.
So we got to do them both. Anyway, I'm yapping.
Hey man, you can't take my job trying to preach now, man.
That's right. That's right. That's right. He's bringing it holy now.
Yeah. There you go. There.
Oh my God! I tell you, I've been listening to my pastor too much because every Sunday, man. I mean, I don't know how many times he's gonna kill Jesus, but
See,
he figures out so many different ways for us to feel sorry for it. I'm like, man, I'm sorry for Jesus again.
That's right. That's right.
And just like you said, it's the same situation, but you got to tell it in different ways, and because it hits people differently.
Yeah,
and it makes perfect sense. No matter how many times you hear the story, you know. Exactly. But it resonates, and then we can share the story. That's how we share it, because it connected so well to your heart and soul. If it doesn't get down to that spiritual level, like you said, James, then you know, really, you got nothing. You're telling us you might as well just share the facts and the features, because you're not doing anything. I have people trying to tell stories that's just on one side. It's all happy, no pain. No. Where there's no pain, there's no solution. There's no problem that needs to be solved. Right. You're gonna offer a service that's not a solution to a problem.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Who wants that?
That's right.
So you got to tell the story that make people go, oh my God. I know, for Dwight, you know, this Zoom thing, this is no fun. You know, Zoom is no fun. It's complicated. It's difficult.
That's right.
It costs too much money. Every time we got to use it, we got to explain it again and again and again and again. Your situation not like that.
That's right.
You ready? You want something easy. You want something turnkey. You want something that's universally accepted, and you don't want to pay exorbitant prices for it. Why not go to Dwight? Why not go to Aon? Why keep spending money in some place where you're just gonna be confused, left behind?
That's right.
With your information stolen and all kinds of stuff. Right? We gotta experience the pain, or the solution don't matter.
That's right. That's right.
So you gotta tell the story of the person who was trying so hard to do this and couldn't figure it out, and just was almost ready to throw the computer against the wall.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you been at my house?
Because of the desperation of it all, you know. You gotta feel that, and then when you come in, it's like, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Absolutely.
That's right.
The simplicity of operating on AON meetings is unbelievable. I mean, it's just very simplistic, and I can give you a quick story of when COVID-19 first started. Of course, you know, they stopped having in-person funerals. They were limiting people to 10 at a funeral, sometime less than that. And so what we thought to do was reach out to some of the funeral homes here in the area about live streaming the services, and then putting together a DVD of the service at the end. Well, God, I'll say, gave me this inspiration and reached out to several of the funeral homes here in the area. At first, everybody was a bit leery because, you know, something that had never been done before. But we had one company that we're still with now. Matter of fact, last year, we did about $60,000 in business with them, just from making one contact about coming in and letting us show them how this product would work. And then it actually solved the problem, because, you know, we couldn't travel. So families that couldn't get to the funeral, they were able to watch the funeral service live stream directly from the funeral provider's website. And so we make a video every year at the end of the year for everyone that has passed away and whose service this particular funeral home has done. And it just goes back, and it's a kind of a commemorative thing for them, so that they know that they're appreciated for what they've done, you know, for these families over the course of the year. And so they have turned into one of our biggest customers. From our first sale was $375, and last year we did $63,000 in business with this company. We do their Con Ed which is a continuing education for them. We do that over the platform. And so, we have met a need, and then they have referred us to other businesses, their friends that have businesses, and they have referred us to them because we solved a problem for them. So I think it's just, a lot of things that you have to think outside the box, and just because it hasn't never been done, that don't mean it can't be done.
Mm-hmm. All right, right.
And the importance is telling the story of the person, the family, who experiences this in a different way than they've ever experienced, a funeral service or an opportunity to grieve. That's the story, because you can't come to see your loved one because we want to avoid a super spreader event, and we're not going back to flying all over the country and connecting in families like this. We're not going back, but we still want that memory. We still need to have that emotional connection to that situation. And so what you're doing is revolutionary and quite positive. But you need to tell the story so people can feel it. Because what they're feeling in their grief is no opportunity. It's not until they hear the story of a family member or active family who had to, they were able to at least, and not even at least, because they can watch that DVD over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
They can share it with future generations of the family.
Absolutely.
It's not just, I got a bunch of funeral programs right here on my desk, as a matter of fact, but I'd rather have a DVD of who spoke and who was there. I'd rather hear the music. I'd rather, I don't really want to see the body in the coffin, but you know what I'm saying? That's just something that, that if I couldn't have made it, I want to know that it happened and the person was, taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, by the way, now that you mentioned it, you gave me a great idea. All of the fraternities have what they call an Omega service. So whenever somebody, even the Masons and the Elks, and everybody has a special funeral service for their fallen brother or sister.
Correct.
And they would love to have those efforts recorded and produced, not just the funeral service, but the special service that they have for the officers and everybody who has somebody has a special funeral program. So we need to get you in contact with all these national headquarters, because this is something that I think all the AKAs and the Deltas and the Sigmas and all of us would love to have that as a commemorative memory for especially our brothers. I just got reached out to. There's a gentleman who one of my great uncles was one of the first chapter leader of the Kappa Alpha Psi organization in Philadelphia. So he was their first postmark, like back in 1930 something.
Wow.
Right. And a gentleman from the chapter reached out to me today on ancestry.com to see if he could find any kind of memorabilia or any type of thing that would remind like 100th anniversary of their chapter coming up in a few days. And they want to see if we had any pictures, any photographs, anything, any memory of my great uncle, who I never met, never knew, except for through stories that I heard that I created literally on ancestry.com. But people want these memories. They want to preserve them. They want to share them. They want to, come back to them 50 years later. So you're creating stuff that can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just did a service for a retired police chief. And we filmed the memorial service, but then we also filmed the service that they had for him.
Yes.
Afterwards, did some drone footage of the horse-drawn carriage, and so I mean, just there are memories that will last for an eternity that can be shared 100 years from now. somebody trying to see, hey, this was your grandfather, this was your great uncle, this was your great grandmother, but now there's a visual. And I understand the pain. My never was able to meet my father's dad. He passed away when he was 42 years old. Never saw a picture of him. And so these types of videos will alleviate those types of issues.
Right.
Right.
And if you think about like Facebook, it's got the memorial pages now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all somebody has to do is give the death certificate of the family members, and they will create a memorial page for that person. And memories like this can be posted right to the page.
Yes.
Yes. And be there forever.
Absolutely.
For future family and future generations to see.
Yeah.
They're gonna know who created the video.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Bam.
AON meetings.
Right. That's how you do the thing. Anyway, I gotta go. This is a great. We went far along. This is probably the longest show I've ever done, guys. But I wanted to make sure that we gave Dwight some time. And if you could, I'm gonna have all of you all kind of meet me backstage in just a couple seconds, and I promise I'll be out here in no time. But thank you all for coming to the show. It was really nice having you. And we'll see you in just a few seconds. Okay, guys, that was Coffee Tea, You and Me. This is one of the greatest shows I've ever had. So I hope you all are watching it and taping it, going checking it out on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm going to repost it on LinkedIn and everywhere so that you all can see and just understand how wonderful these people are that we brought to the table for you guys. In fact, did I do this? Let me make sure I do this while we're still live. I want to make sure I share this information that CF shared with us. And if you want to meet her and see her, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. So now you see her on Facebook and on YouTube and everywhere. And let me post the same information for Dwight so you guys know how to get to him. For Aon Consulting. And yes, Nancy, you need to call Dwight, because you guys could do amazing things together, by the way. I'm just glad you were on the show today and caught this. What did I do with it? There it is, private chat. Okay, here's Dwight. Aon Studios. Perfect. Okay, so everybody's information's in the chat. So if you want to contact them, you want to say anything, go ahead and do that. I want to sign off. Don't forget, if you're watching this anywhere, like it, share it. Don't keep it a secret. If you help me out, I'll help you out. There's all kinds of free tools and free strategies that are in the chat box, so you can go download that stuff and enjoy yourself. And I hope to see you next week. Next week, we're going to talk about, now, after you've told this amazing story and you've painted a vision for people of what you want people to do with it, now it's time to recognize who you are and what you bring to the table, and share people your name, your information, your 7-second pitch, whatever it is you want to do. We're going to talk about that next week. And we'll be finished with the 5 elements of perfect presentation. If it's something that you want to know about, something you want to talk about, I'm going to think about what my next series need to be. I don't even know what it is. So just go ahead and throw that information in the chat anywhere you see us, and I'll respond, and we'll see, maybe we can get your idea, your concept as a show. So look forward to talking to you. Thank you so very much. And we're ending the broadcast. Bye, y'all.